Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
And welcome to But It Was Aliens.
Swedish.
That too.
Swedish.
We are the extraterrestrial comedy podcast where we probe the sweet Jeebus out of alleged extraterrestrial activity to determine as to whether this alleged alien activity is allegedly true. We take it in turns to host the show, and leading you on this merry journey this week is me, Kev. Alongside me, let me introduce you to Granville Moonwalker. Did you know that Granville has about 37 tattoos, yet not a single one is of me? What kind of friendship even is this? Side note, 3 are of aliens. This mother trucker has 3 alien tattoos. Granville even has a stickman tattooed on himself, yet he doesn't have one of me. Seriously, what kind of friendship is this?
How do you know the stick man's not you?
Because his package isn't down to his ankle.
Did you say? I had no comeback. I had absolutely no comeback for
The
that.
best part of that is Mr. Moonwalker checked the stickman tattoo on his arm to make sure that he didn't have a package.
Well, I know for a fact it didn't. But I was about to say it is you because, but then, no, nothing.
When we were younger, he's got a speech bubble and used to write different words and quotes and stuff in the speech bubble when we'd go out.
Good conversation starter, that.
The most peculiar tattoo. I've never seen anyone else with anything like that one.
I'm also checking how many alien tattoos I have. You're correct, yeah.
I've been studying
3.
you, son.
Been watching me in the shower.
Mr. Moonwalker has no recollection of telling me this detail about himself, clearly. How do I know?
I was about to say, but I do happen to take a shower at yours after football every Friday.
Oh, I've got cameras everywhere, son. That little dance you do, it's beautiful.
I know, right?
Anyway, that's enough messing about. Today, I'm taking you to Russia, and more specifically, Ostankino, Moscow, via the medium of a podcast. Our podcast, because I don't host anyone else's. Ostankino Tower, a television and radio tower constructed by 1967 in Ostankino, aka Ostankinsky district, is the tallest freestanding structure in Europe as of 2022. You gotta believe that this thing immediately is gonna be a beacon for aliens, right? Giant beacon in the sky, giving off all sorts of waves. Surely an alien is gonna pick that up on their radio and swing on by. If an alien is anywhere near that tower, it's swinging by to take a closer look and see what's going on. Roll on 1995, my friend. Here is a photo taken in Ostankino.
I've got a question before I have a look at that photo.
Is it about how you pronounce Ostankino?
No, it's not.
Thank frick for that.
It is. When did they start constructing that tower?
I don't have that detail to hand.
Okay.
It's in Russia. They're not always the clearest with the details there. State managed, perhaps. I have no idea. It could have been public knowledge.
Okay, so this is a photo taken in Ostankino.
Indeed.
And what it shows is 2 men looking up at a light in the sky, which could easily just be the sun before a sunset. It's black and white, so you can't really make anything out.
The sun is not saucer-shaped. Don't you come at me with that.
Could be clouds. You could only be seeing part of that sun, not the full thing. Cloudy day. Could be smog. Smoggy. Smog.
You can kind of see the outline of clouds behind it. I'm not letting you have that.
In front of it.
We have a bright white saucer-like shape in the sky, folks.
Got the sun.
Don't listen
not
to
the
this little
newspaper.
fool. You're off the podcast. Go sit in the corner and think about what you've done. Any other thoughts? In the corner you go. You can come out. Come on.
Now that I'm back, it's still the sun.
In the corner you go.
Fuck's sake.
Let's dig into it. This photo was taken on the very outskirts of the suburbs of Moscow. I may or may not have more photos later, but allegedly, this saucer was seen drifting in the sky for a period before making its way lower.
So like a sunset.
Sorry, making its way lower. Not
Like a sunset.
Did I say you could come out of the corner? Get your ass back there. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. This photo was believed to have been taken in 1995, so some civilians, and especially the military, had cameras by this time. The gentlemen in the photo do indeed appear to be of military origin based upon the apparently identical uniforms they appear to be wearing. The image was first displayed on Russian television in October 1995, though I will add, we don't know for definite that this is when the image was actually taken. You got anything to say? You're just going to stay in the corner? You can't just nod at me. Come on, come back to the microphone. Come on. No. Come on.
Why do we only have a black and white image? And not one in colour? It was 1995.
Corner! I only let you out when you're saying something positive about the case, even though there's absolutely no credible evidence. Yeah, it's a fine question. I mean, that's not an answer, but it's a fine question.
You're on the right track there, kid.
Up.
Going back to that picture, is that a little, like, news station logo in the bottom?
Ah, how very astute of you, sir. How very astute it may be.
So?
Allegedly. Truthfully.
So they were out recording the sunset of what it would look like on a certain day or time. Was there meant to be like a solar eclipse and they just went out to record it? And then they thought the sun was actually a UFO?
Say the sun one more time. What on earth are you doing? You better not be going onto Google to make him pronounce the word sun. What's the Google assistant called? Alexa? I'm not beyond putting Alexa in the corner.
Were they out there just recording the sons? Or the soul? Or the adlor? Or the slunts?
Don't give me different words for the sun.
So they were out there recording the son, weren't they?
No.
The soul?
Jokes, no. Jokes aside, you're going to forget those words in a couple of minutes.
Slunts?
Jokes aside, who's to say they were out recording it and that they didn't just get hold of military footage and put that on TV?
Oh, that's a very good argument. Good comeback. But you know it's a Zon, right?
So, the photo I showed you was actually the first in a series of 3. Say hello, number 2. Hey, number 2.
Hey, number 1.
Hey, number 2.
Okay. So the shape has
moved.
Slightly transformed.
You don't see the sun moving?
It's just much lower down. We don't know what time this was taken. Could be a couple of hours later. Sun is lower in the sky. Sorry. The Zon is lower in the sky.
Corner.
The slants is lower in the sky. There's still only 2 of them.
Yep.
Okay, so that's fair. So it could either be that the Zon is lower in the sky and they're just taking different pictures
You're
of
really
it.
sticking to this, aren't you?
Or this isn't the Zon and it has moved rather rapidly, which is why there is only 2 of them. Mm-hmm. So it's either 2 people recording or videoing or even taking stills. No, because there'd have to be a 3rd person if there's 2 in the shot. So 2 people with a tripod or 3 people there taking photos of the slunts.
I'd just like to remind / inform you that this non-sun-like entity, aka saucer, came to the ground fairly rapidly.
I mean, we've got no proof of that.
Well, I'm showing you proof.
You're
What do you
not.
call this right in front of you?
I mean, this could be
It's
hours.
photographic evidence.
This could be another day for all we know. Hold on. There are other lights in the background. Let me check the two pictures.
This is clearly night.
Okay. Both the lights in the background seem to be quite legit. They're in the exact same place.
What's the little markings on a photo called? Like the timestamp where you see when it was taken. You zoom in, you check the timestamp. It says 1995, taken by Russian military.
There's like 5 years between each one.
News of this landing immediately hit national headlines, as you can imagine. Local TV was going bonkers. Sometime later, and unfortunately, I'm not entirely clear on how later because I investigated this one late at night and got sleepy, but Carlos Clement Alonso, a Mexican journalist, through their sources possibly monitoring Channel 1 Russia or TV Rusa Ostankino, broke this story on what I believe is a paranormal investigative TV series called Terza Milenio. I had to read a lot of Spanish in this one, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but I don't actually speak Spanish. Anywho, it broke on Russian TV, then at some point, the info squeezed out, hit Mexico, and went global. Thank you, Mexico.
So, what you're saying is they actually think this is a UFO? Mm-hmm. So, they didn't blame it on the sunshine?
No.
Didn't blame it on the moonlight?
No.
Blamed it on the boogie?
What about the good times? Don't forget the good times, they're the best of times.
So, what was the time frame between picture 1 and picture 2?
It was a
Days?
period of time.
Days?
Moments.
Weeks?
No, moments.
Months?
Moments.
These are all moments.
Absolutely moments.
It's a moment captured in time, but how...
Brief moments. I mean, what is time when you think about it?
It's a construct. Completely created by ourselves.
It's a fabric. Like a nice pair of curtains. Granville's favourite hairstyle. Just giving your little tweeters at the front of your hair into curtains. Beautiful. You should do that all the time.
No.
Right. Anything to add or tangent on before we move on?
Was there any backlash to this going public?
I wouldn't say backlash. It took off, created a bit of a media stir. We'll cover some of this.
But no one got in trouble for the thing leaking in the first place?
Well, it's military, isn't it? So we don't really know. Secretive. But I'm getting the feeling that the first two photos haven't really convinced you.
Is there proof that these so-called military outfits that they were wearing are actually military outfits and not just dress up?
So you think that would be good
Cosplay.
proof?
Are they just playing soldier?
I've got better proof than that, sir.
Oh, but you're going to see this sunset.
I've got a third photo. Now we're going to probe that third photo. If you'd like to check this one out, Mr. Moonwalker.
Okay, that's not a sunset.
Booyah!
That is not a sunset.
Probably should have started with this one, shouldn't I?
Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we have a very, very large, bright, squished mushroom
Yeah, fair.
that is now on the floor.
Looks to have landed.
I take back everything I said about the Zon. This is not the Zon.
Indeed, indeed. I think that it does look like someone in the military uniform, though it is a little bit hard to tell because it's black and white. But I think the person in front looks slightly panicked, like they're rushing.
If anything, it looks like an old school
Yeah.
military uniform. Like to be honest, it looks like a Mexican.
All right, I'm going to throw something at you. Can you remember the James Bond film GoldenEye?
Yes.
Remember the Russian military outfits in GoldenEye?
Yes. Yep.
Genuinely
it's
looks
GoldenEye.
quite a lot like that.
It's just GoldenEye. That's the disc. It's just landed before they go and set it up. Oh, GoldenEye, what a film! Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that is my favourite Bond film, though I'm not a huge Bond film goer.
Neither am I.
I used to like them when I was young, but not seen many as an adult.
I've seen a hell of a lot of them as an adult. Or I would say I've seen all the Pierce Brosnan ones, but I haven't.
Have you seen the most recent one? Not Pierce Brosnan, the most recent one
Yes.
with Daniel Craig?
Yeah, his last one. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I've
no
not seen
GoldenEye.
it, but if you were in GoldenEye, what sort of enemy would you be? Because you're not going to be a double agent, are you? You're definitely going to be an enemy.
Why?
Because you've got too much pent-up anger.
I could be like 006.
I feel like you try and bring the sun closer to Earth. That would be your ultimate evil scheme.
I could be like Alec.
Trevelyan. Mm-hmm. For anyone who's not seen GoldenEye, you might want to pause this podcast and go and watch it, because we're referencing characters in it, like everyone knows about it. I'm invincible.
Yeah,
Boris.
not Boris.
I feel like I'd be more like Boris.
You'd be more like Natalia.
Natalia survived. Oh, spoiler, sorry. She may have survived.
Well, it's GoldenEye now.
Should we just pack this up, say it's aliens, and go and watch GoldenEye?
Let's do it. Or, have you still got your N64?
No, I sold it when I was a teenager.
Damn. GoldenEye's coming back out on the Switch though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We need to play
The
that.
Switch and the Xbox, they've done a weird thing where you get online gaming on the Switch or something, yeah. And modern visuals on the Xbox.
What are you getting on?
I don't know.
I know we've completely derailed this probe, but I'll get it on whatever.
We'll wait and see what the nature of it is, because they're releasing different versions for both of them, like I say. So we'll
true.
see. We'll see.
John will get it as well, won't he?
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
It's going to be free on live, I think.
Xbox it is then.
Anyway, Bond villain. This has just got boring as shit for anyone who's not in our social group. Describe your Bond villainous.
We should have that
ways.
as a Patreon group, a Patreon perk, and play GoldenEye with us.
Smash us on GoldenEye.
Or play Smash.
Smash me on Smash. If you want to smash me, sign on up to Patreon. So you're going to answer the question about Bond villainism?
I'm in.
You're just going to be a Bond villain. You're not going to tell us about yourself. What's your plan? Do you have a scar? Or a limp? Or one arm?
I have a scar.
Fascination with gold? Or dead skin? I love gold.
I have one eye. And my whole plan is to move everything in everyone's house off by an inch.
The worst bit is you've already started this plan because you do this shit to me. When we were younger and I used to live at my parents', Mr. Moonwalker I'd go to the bathroom, come back, and Mr. Moonwalker would have moved one or two items in my bedroom just a tiny bit, just to watch me notice immediately and move them back.
I still do it now. Just less frequent.
Yeah, and not everything here has a direct home like it did there.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But your new home will.
Indeed, I'll be in that home by the time this episode releases. Anyway,
I will start moving things.
You've got one eye. What happened to the other eye?
I lost it when someone moved my cupboard an inch.
Someone did it to you as a joke. And now
I'm going to do it to the world. The world!
If I was a Bond supervillain...
You're not.
Well, what am I then?
You're not evil.
I'm a side character that barely does anything.
You're Natalia.
Natalia isn't even in every Bond film.
You're a damsel in distress. You're a Bond girl. Greybeard, the Bond girl.
Good Bond girl or bad Bond girl?
I don't know.
Well, if I'm a bad Bond girl, I feel like what I would be doing is shaving people's eyebrows, but only one. It would cause chaos throughout the world. If I'm a good Bond girl, then I guess I'm going to get shagged by Bond at some point. Does that still happen? I've not seen a Bond film recently.
Still happens.
Oh, God, it's so chauvinistic and bloody sexist, isn't it?
I don't know if it does still happen, actually. I can't remember the new film that well.
It obviously left a mark on you.
Yeah, it was... Like I said, it was mid.
Should probably get back on the case, shouldn't we?
All this Bond talk.
You like bondage?
Yeah, Bond.
So as you've seen, this flying freaking saucer landed on the edge of the road.
On the edge.
Not the middle, the edge. It edged. Using other things in this photo for scale,
And we saw it!
we can tell that the saucer is between 15 to 20 feet in diameter.
No, we can't.
We can, because you can
can't.
scale it.
To what?
Well, I haven't included that in the research notes, but there are buildings that can be placed in the background. You've got a person up close to the camera who's probably between 4'8" and 6'8".
You could walk up to that saucer and it could be 200 foot long. We don't know how far away that is. That could just be because it's so big, it looks closer.
Well, that's why I've said 15 to 20 feet rather than exact.
Why did you not say 15 to 285?
Because then it would be blocking out everything else in the photo.
Depends how far. If it's that far away, and 285, it would look the size it is now.
What's your opinion on corners?
They're okay.
Get your ass in it! So why did the saucer
By an inch.
move the whole place, lift it? Why did the saucer land? Many have wondered.
Why
Not-
did the
not-
chicken cross the road?
Not Granville, apparently. These images have been analysed by many, and the leading theory is that Russia actually fired on this craft. Russians don't play no games, son! The craft dipped low and then landed to avoid the anti-aircraft artillery. Our good source Carlos explains that their sources further state that the craft appeared to be surrounded by some form of energy field and that those nearby were prevented from getting close to the craft due to this field. It was some kind of force field. Does this explain why it was glowing? A type of energy we can't produce, either used to manipulate the surrounding gravity field, if gravity really does exist, or to keep people from getting too close. I'd just like to add here that when I talk about our source Carlos, I imagine the baby in the first Hangover movie. Some guy's walking around with a baby.
A picture of him in it.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me when I was writing it. It only occurred to me as I've read it back out. But now every time I say Carlos, I get a picture of like a man walking around with a baby on his back, and the baby's talking into a microphone, telling people about this event.
He's cute. What's his name? Carlos. Something has dawned upon me though. 1995.
Yes.
Windows 95. Coming out the age of Nimbus.
Solitaire.
Is it possible that this is one of the first Photoshops?
I don't know that Photoshop existed in 1995.
It wouldn't have been called Photoshop. It would have called something... Oh my God.
Microsoft Paint. Is this the first Microsoft Paint job?
So go back to that third picture.
Yep.
Have a look at that shining light.
Yeah.
Have a look on the left-hand side.
Looks like it's got a mouth, doesn't it?
And an eye.
It's a shark. Light shark.
Is this like a giant seal or a whale? You haven't jumped on board, which means this is Photoshop.
No. I was looking at it, trying to debate in my head whether it... I don't think it looks very whaley or sealy, to be honest. Maybe more seal than whale, I think. But the mouth looks shark-like to me. It's Jaws, biatch.
Either way, it's not an alien.
If there's a shark that size flying around and landing, You can't get much more alien. That also explains why the man is so far back, though, having the force field around it. He might have tried to get closer and been zapped back.
Might even be the point where he hasn't even walked up to whatever this is.
Could also be.
He'd just be taking photos. Where's the other guy?
He's tried to get up close and been zapped out of view.
Is he that little light dot that's there on the floor? Like he's been burnt? Or is now covered in radiation?
The shark ate him.
Could this have been a hot air balloon?
Highly unlikely.
Because we can see light. Oh, no. Ignore me. I was thinking maybe the white parts of the photo are heat. But then we would see that on this gentleman in front of us.
I mean, the white parts could be heat, but not from a hot air balloon. It could be a flying saucer, for example. And it could have a super hot force field around it.
But that would also indicate that the gentleman standing in front in the Russian military suit would also be.
Yeah, but it's Russia.
White.
It's cold. If you look at his hand, his hand looks hot.
His hand does not look hot. That's not his hand. His hand is not that long.
He's got super long arms.
He is not Stretch Armstrong. And if anyone listening doesn't know who Stretch Armstrong is, I feel old. I don't know why it was such a popular toy either.
Just novelty, wasn't it? You could just pull him about, yank him
off.
No sooner than had this story hit Russian television, the story vanished. It was almost as if it had been covered up, hushed up. No claims of a hoax, just silence. How could something like this hit the news and then completely disappear so quickly? A government cover-up, perhaps, if I could be so bold? It's believed that the Russian television station did actually have in their possession a video of the incident, but they did not air it. Maybe they didn't dare push that hard.
They err on the side of caution.
This is shady government conspiracy suspicious, if you ask me. If it wasn't for Mexico, we wouldn't even know about this now, but once you let something out on television or radio waves, it is out, and you never know who has gotten hold of it.
Now this leads me into two theories.
Mm-hmm.
One, they cut it because they didn't want panic.
Right.
They knew it was something. They didn't want it out there. Or they knew that it was complete bullshit and weren't falling into that trap.
They just tried to pretend they never reported on it, you mean?
So they were like, this is shit. We know it's shit. Just get it off the airwaves.
Then why did they put it on in the first place?
Well, they didn't. Mexico leaked it. But then
after it was on Russian Airways originally, and then they pretended it didn't happen, but then Mexico got hold of it.
I've got no answer now.
I know this sounds like a jump, but I have to include this next bit.
Boing.
There are follow-on stories suggesting that self-luminous beings emerged from this flying saucer whilst it was on the ground. These aliens were said to appear to have non-hostile intentions, but the Russians, spooked and having already fired at the craft, opened fire on the creatures once more. In response, the aliens fired some kind of energy pulse which did no harm to the soldiers, but disabled all of their guns. They took guns to a pulse fight, son. I'll be transparent here. Sources such as UFO Mania outline this part of the story, but I have no direct evidence, unlike for the main part of the story, the UFO landing, to which we do have genuine photographic evidence taken or leaked from a video that is not publicly available. I'm not sure how I feel about this bit, but it's part of some folks' coverage, and we do like to be thorough on this podcast, probing deep.
So these beings emerged from the craft and were non-hostile. They had non-hostile intentions.
Yep.
How do we know that if we didn't talk to them?
Because they didn't do anything hostile?
Yeah, but we have no idea what they would have done when they would have got close. So you can't say
so maybe the Russians...
Unless they specifically said, we are not hostile. We have no idea that they weren't hostile.
Are you backing Russia in this situation?
No. Backing common sense. We cannot 100% say they are not hostile unless spoke to them and they said they weren't hostile.
I take your point. It's
For
a fair
all we
point.
know, they may have had to get close and put their hand on you to
Suck your soul.
or burn your insides out for them to be hostile.
This could be a Mars attack scenario. We come in peace. Pow!
But
Next thing you know, Thomas Jones is buggered.
do we have evidence of them saying that they were non-hostile?
Well, no, we don't have any evidence for that bit I just told you. So you're saying it happened, but they were hostile. They jumped out of the sun. They were luminous themselves.
I'm just saying that part of the probe seems to be bullshit and possibly made up, because if we have no concrete proof, how do we...
Yeah, as we've said before, we could quite easily come out with our own UFO story and claim that it's real. Who's to say whether it's real or not if you don't have any evidence either way? It's just your word against theirs, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Our pal, Carlos Clement, goes on to compare the Ostankino...
Clement or Clemente?
It can be Clemente if you'd rather it.
I want to hear it Carlos Clemente.
Okay, our pal, Carlos Clemente...
Carlos Clemente.
goes on to compare the Ostankino landing to the Cotulla, Texas incident where, without going into too much detail, on the night of July the 5th, 2012, a surveillance webcam for a block of apartments, or in other reports an oil company, picked up another UFO landing. The photos from both sets of footage are actually very similar, so not only do we have compelling photographic evidence in today's case, we also know that there are other images of possible alien spacecraft out there that look very similar, suggesting that we may be being visited by the same civilization. Just to reiterate, I can't show you them because I'd be spoiling a possible future probe for one of us. I don't know the details of that case further than what I've said, but the images are eerily similar. Except the word of an Honourable John.
Ruined. I have a question.
Question?
Do we honestly, truthfully, allegedly know that this is not a weather balloon?
Allegedly or allegedly truthfully?
Truthfully, allegedly.
Now I'm confused. I don't know what that means. You've switched it on me.
Is it a weather balloon?
It's not a weather balloon.
Is it a weather balloon?
It's not a weather balloon. No.
It's 100% not a weather balloon.
Not a weather balloon and not the
As
sun.
an honest John, you're saying it's not a weather balloon.
As an honourable John. Not an honourable and trustworthy John. You've given me your speech impediment now. Oh dear. 2 beers deep. He's 2 beers deep. He's gonna collapse and go to sleep.
So as an honourable John,
I'm gonna get his eyebrow and give it a shave.
is it a weather balloon?
No.
Okay.
Jesus, it's not a weather balloon. Sorry, Jeebus, it's not a weather balloon.
I mean, I can't really ask any questions I want to ask because they're kind of about the other case.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't want to get into it myself. I could have, but I felt like there was another episode there potentially, so...
Totally understandable.
Right. So let's just check out a close-up of the photo and then a video for you, Mr. Moonwalker.
Ooh, video.
Here's a contrast-enhanced close-up of the saucer landed for you, Granville. What are your thoughts?
So they didn't just have photos, they had video.
Not exactly, but we'll get onto that in a second.
Huh.
You can see the saucer shape now?
I can.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, and measured between 15 to 20 metres.
Indeed.
But can you remember the last time we had an old case and you put a video in?
And it didn't work?
Yep.
On the Patreon?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about it?
Oh. It's underneath. That's my bad.
You've started it already?
Okay.
Mr. Woo Walker has just skipped a whole page ahead in the research notes. That's on it. You can watch the video. It's Mexican coverage of the case.
It literally
Just so you
says, let's check out the photo and then a video. So I was expecting a video.
Well, I meant that's my next two segments. But like I say, this is just so you can see how seriously it's treated. So crack on with it.
Okay, so we have the close-up of the what now looks more like a giant crocodile rather than a whale, measured between 15 to 20 meters.
Yep, flying saucer.
Crocodile. And let's get back to that video, shall we? I mean, I'm glad there's subtitles.
Would you like to do a voice and read the subtitles?
No. He's telling me that the video is unavailable, so he's going to show us pictures. Clemente! Okay, so they're showing the sun. Okay. They're showing me the same pictures that Kev showed me, but they are... Fuck me! They're a lot more convincing than you were.
Just because they're on a national TV show.
I can't explain what this would be. Yeah, you see the light in the sky at the top, and then you see it a little bit lower. But then when it's on the ground, that's when... Like, what the hell is it? They spelled "we" with two E's. Wee. I am a giant child, yes. So they're going through the pictures right now, and they're on picture number 2.
With some very intense music.
Very intense. And picture number 3 with it on the ground. I know they said there was a force field behind it, but are there any pictures of them closer to it?
The video hasn't leaked. These are just stills from said video.
I mean, now that I've heard it in Spanish, I'm more inclined to believe it, rather than what you were telling me. He's not wrong. He does say that it looks like it's radiating some type of energy, which is exactly what I thought when I said I thought it was heat censored. But then the people would have been the same.
He's just reiterating all the stuff that I've told you, and now you're like, oh, that sounds so legit.
Yeah, but he sounds more convincing.
You can't even understand him.
Exactly. Okay, so they are showing... okay, I can't believe this one. They're now showing the bits that Kev was talking about earlier in 2012. I mean, they could be anything. Saying that sometimes UFOs reach the ground. They could have been shots fired. If you fire a gun at night and you're looking through night vision goggles, they come out as like little bright lights that have been
Greeny.
shot. So, could have been those. However, now that I've heard it for myself in Spanish, I'm in.
I'm just gonna
Can't tell me it's not aliens now.
type in research notes into Google Translate and have them come out as Spanish in the future and just have the Google voice read them.
That's what it takes.
So what else could be going on with this case? The obvious answer would be a hoax. If this landed in the middle of nowhere pretty much, then why were people with cameras waiting around? But remember, there were military personnel in the photos, video. What if there's another explanation? What if this was an undercover military project? Experimental technology?
Don't believe it. I heard it in Spanish.
There's another theory out there that this is actually disinformation created originally by the United States of America, hoping that it is picked up and proven to be a hoax, therefore discrediting other, possibly all, UFO evidence, therefore covering up the fact that we are indeed being visited, my friend. Or potentially covering up that the USA is visiting Russia with advanced tech. Conspiracies aplenty. Which one gives you the biggest tinglies, Granville?
Spanish aliens.
That's all you got?
Yep. I'm in. And they say Clemente.
So now you're happy? You
Like the Zon.
You better be concluded this one is aliens then. I don't want to hear any talk of conspiracies or hoax.
Do we have... Oh, we're not going to have any proof that America was involved, are we?
No, I'm about to summarise.
Do we have any scientific proof that it could be a hoax?
I've dripped everything into your ears that I have.
So there's no...
I am empty. I've got nothing.
There's no reason as to why it could be a hoax or what it could potentially be if it was a hoax?
People pissing about in 1995?
Pissing about with what?
Microsoft Paint?
Nimbus?
Yeah, no, nothing out there. Only what you can come up with in your mind.
Cool. Continue.
Summarising today, we've covered a UFO filmed not only in the sky but landing in Ostankino, Moscow, in Russia at some point, probably in 1995. This story was picked up by the Russian media and then Mexican journalist Carlos Clemente, but the video never leaked. 3 stills from the footage did, but not the video itself. The account goes that Russia shot at this UFO and it dripped low, then dipped low, had a little dribble, then landed to avoid fire. Russia then tried to approach the craft, but couldn't due to an energy field. It's not clear if Russia really did fire at the craft once landed, or if beings exited the craft. Theories on this case include that this is real footage of an extraterrestrial visit to Earth, that it is a hoax, for unknown reasons, that this is Russian military technology, hence the presence of military in the images, and that this is a disinformation project by the USA to cover up real UFO evidence or the USA's own advanced military activity. I'll link to YouTube videos from the Tursa Millenio coverage and UFO Mania summary in the episode notes. Did you want to add anything further before we conclude, Mr. Moonwalker?
Got one question from that summary.
Yep.
If they were being shot at, why would they get lower and closer to the object shooting at them?
Well, maybe it did a little bit of damage, or maybe it didn't. Their technology was so laughable in comparison to the extraterrestrials that they thought, let's come and have a closer look at these fools.
And then they came down and they came out and were non-hostile.
Yeah, because they couldn't hurt them. They had no reason to be hostile.
But we don't have proof of them telling us that.
Oh, we don't have nothing, no. This is a leap of faith case, if you will, but it was explained in Spanish.
Yeah, you've got me there. You have got me there. You've got me by the balls.
So on that note, are you saying that it was aliens?
But it was aliens! I'm saying it's aliens.
Are you?
Don't be daft.
I couldn't tell if you were being serious.
I'm not.
You're not what?
I'm not saying this was aliens.
But?
I don't think this was a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that they were able to figure... Not that they weren't able to figure out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it got picked up by, like you said, by Mexico, and they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So it's as if it could be the fact that Russia knew exactly what it was and were experimenting with some kind of new technology, and it somehow got leaked to Mexico, and Mexico were like, fuck, look at this is aliens. And then Russia were like, yeah, no, it's not. Let's get this shit off the airwaves before people start thinking there's aliens.
So you're going military conspiracy?
I am.
Which you specifically said that you weren't 2 minutes ago.
No, I didn't. That's a conspiracy theory.
That corner's looking mighty inviting for you, sir.
Let me just get up and go there.
So for me, this file, unfortunately, as we have sort of said, it's unverifiable. We don't really know where it came from, who is in it, or whether it's been doctored, though I would say that it would be fairly impressive hoaxing skills for 1995 if that was the case. We spoke about Microsoft Paint. To come up with these photos on that is bloody incredible, to be honest.
It's also the fact that we apparently have a video but don't have a video.
Yeah, how do we know there's a video? Well, I suppose the stills came from a video, so...
I mean, they might have done, or they might have just come from photos.
And the news station lied.
Possibly.
But yeah, there's not a lot to go on.
Misinformation.
Not a lot to go on, which makes it really difficult to conclude. We have credible looking photos and very serious coverage, but no original details, and of course, the video never leaked. I didn't know how to conclude as I was writing this one, but my gut is telling me that I'm not saying that it was aliens. Full stop. I think I'm leaning towards hoax, but I don't really know the reason why they would hoax in this manner. Was the news station trying to get some more views on them? But then the Russian state cracked down on them, maybe. But by that point, Mexico had got a hold of it, and that was that.
Who knows?
And the photo, whilst the photos do look legit, but they're not exactly clear either.
And in 95, you'd kind of expect a little bit more clarity in the
You'd want,
photo.
but getting towards a megapixel. I mean, maybe not quite, but I say that. We didn't have megapixels on our phones until like the 2000s, did we?
Yeah, but that was a phone.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Military cameras, you would expect them to be way better than what
Yeah, just
we had in the public.
I suppose what you're alluding to, and it's kind of where I'm at too, is that the file doesn't feel complete. We need a little bit more to it to understand it. The details aren't there to conclude that it was aliens. But it is one of our potentially more legitimate cases, I guess. There's nothing that stands out as, oh, this idiot was trying to make money off it, etc., is there? It's just a strange one that we can't really quite explain one way or the other.
Yeah. It's one where if a little bit more information came out, we could literally just turn around and go, yes, this is it.
If light being aliens suddenly visit the Earth, then we're going to come back and change the outcome on this one. But yeah, any final thoughts, Mr. Moonwalker?
No,
Me neither.
Okay.
That is a wrap for today.
Carlos Clemente.
Thank you for listening to But It Was Aliens. If you've been listening a while and you want to rep your favourite, aka the only extraterrestrial comedy podcast, you could head on over to butitwasaliens.co.uk and pick up some swag in our online store. Spread the word and help us grow. Meanwhile, if you just like what we do and want to help us and hear us delve into more widely paranormal cases, like you may have heard us doing on birthdays or at Halloween, well, now you can. Head on over to patreon.com/butitwasaliens, and each month you will find a side probe released, a study into supernatural, mysterious events. If you have any suggestions for the main show or our side probes, you can hit us up on the Twitter at But It Was Aliens. A new episode of But It Was Aliens will be with you on Thursday. But until next time. What won't Meatloaf do for love? The truth is up there. #.
I would just like to add before you finish recording.
Yes.
I was editing at home the other day, and it got to the bit where I say on the Twitter.
Yeah.
My other half gave me the biggest side eye in the world. And I was like, side eye back, bitch.
Yeah, I get those when I listen back to our episodes and laugh at bits. I'd also just like to add that in terms of the song, what Meatloaf won't do for love is what he actually says in the song. If you listen to it carefully, he explains it all there. But what I wonder is what he actually won't do for love. Like, what are his limits? How far would Meatloaf have gone?
Exactly. Well, I know he won't do that.
Indeed.